I met with Victor, and he said, here's the script, and he said, just go home and read it. So I did, and I loved it. I was like riveted by it. I was like, oh my God, this is a really good monster movie. It's not like a psychological thriller. It's not, you know, a teen slasher movie. It's a monster movie, and it's serious.
I was going to hire Brad to do some storyboarding, basically. Well, Brad came in the first day, and he had 3 or 4 pictures of the creature based on the script. And they were so fantastic. In fact, the first one we saw was just so awesome that we immediately emailed it to Frances, who emailed us back and said, oh my God, this is great.
That was a part of the script at the cat lady's house, and she says that one line, that ain't my scarecrow. And I thought that was really gothic, this image of this guy standing in front of this old, rotted scarecrow. That was just like the essence of how dark and ragged this character was, that he would blend into the scarecrow. I grew up in Nebraska, and, you know, with rolling cornfields in the middle of nowhere, and like, you know, picket fences and barbed wire and old trees and all that kind of stuff, just like barren fields and just old houses and things that you just see driving around Nebraska. And there's a certain eeriness to all of that.
What if a man who wasn't a man could dress in such a way that you would think he was until he got right up close to you and you saw that he was not a man at all?
Yeah, the creeper himself, the way he was described in the script, where he at first appeared like an old man in ragged clothing. And on closer inspection, you find out that there's something wrong with him. He looked like an old man at first, but there was like this eeriness about his face where you look like it's not quite right. And then, of course, the longer you looked, the more you realize there's something really different and strange and wrong with what this individual is. This is like the gothic character that we were always like afraid of when we were kids. This was like the monster from the Midwest that hasn't ever really been chronicled before. Victor was so clever in revealing more and more of the creature as you go through the film. It's not just that guy in an old coat. He changes and he morphs, and there's always something else going on with the creature than you know. He flies. He must be a vampire. He's got wings. And then you see him with his clothes off. He's got a reptile's body. He's got these huge leathery wings. He's like a gargoyle. I mean, well, okay, there's got to be one more step beyond that where you don't know what he is. That was like, I think, the biggest treat, to create a movie monster that you didn't recognize from somewhere else. That was like, oh, that's like weird and new, you know. That's so wonderful for a horror movie fan to see that and go, wow, something fresh. Somebody put the effort into doing something new and fresh. Giving less information about the creeper than just like saying, here's exactly what he is, and, you know, exactly what he's going to do and how he works and all the rules about it, leaving him vague and leaving him mysterious, and you only get little suggestions of what he is or what he isn't. And that makes it all the more scary, because you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know how to stop him. You don't know why he's coming after you. You don't know what he wants. You know, it's just this complete, horrible, dark force you know nothing about. In the script, he's got a workman's table in there with stuff on it. And when we were talking about what the set was going to look like, Victor was getting into, like, the creeper is an artist. And originally we had like this drawing of this big wood table, and I had him look like he had carved up the legs and the front half of the table, and the rest of it was still just wood planks. And on the top of the table he had carved in this demonic thing, which at first in the film you'd go, wow, that's like, you know, some satanic symbol. Because at first, at this point in the movie, you just think he's a serial killer or something. He's, you know, dumping bodies down this hole behind the church. He's a serial killer. And look, he's carved like some kind of Satan thing into this table, you know. He's a devil-worshipping maniac. But then by the end of the movie, if you remember the table, you're gonna go, hey, that's not the devil he's carved into the table, that's a self-portrait. So this is his artist's self-portrait of himself, you know, in the table. It's got his face open. It's a stylized thing, but it's all there if you look at it really fast. Ever since I was a little kid, I was drawing monsters. I was like, the first things I ever drew were like monsters. And to be able to have like drawn a monster and to have somebody come in and say, oh yeah, this is nice, we're going to now make it into a real thing, and then step by step see like the costume people come in and say, yeah, this is the clothes it's going to wear, and these are the boots and the pants and the shirt and all that kind of stuff. And then the makeup effects guys come in and say, this is how we're going to sculpt it, and this is what the back of the head's going to look like. And then see the actor come in, and this is how it's all going to fit on him, and this is the way it's going to walk, and this is the way it's going to have an attitude. And then to see it turn into this living, breathing creature, I mean, it's just amazing. It's just awesome. I mean, it's like, the pinnacle of any horror movie fan is to see a monster that you drew turn into a living, breathing thing. And I'd go and I'd talk to Breck in between takes sometimes, and he'd be in this huge, great, gothic monster makeup. And a little kid inside me would be jumping up and down going, it's the monster, it's the monster, and all excited. I'm trying to act cool and around him, and he's like, having all this patience with me, yeah, I'm the monster, and he's telling me about other projects he's working on, and, and it was like, his voice coming out of this really scary, horrific, gothic monster was just great. I mean, it was just surreal. It was wonderful. There's nothing else like it. If you have a chance to do it, you should try it.
As a director, my job is to make the strongest impressions as quickly as possible in telling my stories. As a result, I wanted both Tricia's car and the creeper van to have distinct on-camera personalities. And after my production designer, Stephen Legler, took me through old catalogs of different cars from past to present, the only cars with real cool angles and personalities came from the 50s and 60s. Later model sedans, as I had described in my script, all look like eggs on wheels compared to the lines and fins and incredible and classic architecture of these vintage cars. We didn't have the budget to buy, paint, and restore 3 Chevy Impalas, or remove the transmissions from their steering wheels and put them on the floor, as per my script. So everyone was trying to steer me away from them, no pun intended. Except for my producer, Barry Opper, who seemed to understand that to have the right car, which is essentially a character in the film, was worth the extra money.
I think the problem when the restrictions are running a show, when the limitations are running a show, you don't have the ability to say, let's go for it. And therefore, you may come in on time, on budget, but I think the thrill of reaching communicates on film, and you've got to thrill the audience.
A lot of people don't know that a simple shot of 2 people driving in a car takes an enormous amount of rigging and machinery and lights to make it look like it looks in real life. It is also why in these shots, the actors aren't really driving. The car is lifted up onto a rolling platform called a process trailer, which is then towed by the insert car. The insert car is really a large truck that carries me, the director, my script supervisor, the camera crew, and the director of photography. And one of the first things my director of photography, Don Fauntleroy, wanted when he saw how much driving and car work was in the film was to hire a man named Jack Carpenter to head up the insert cars. You want someone who knows what they're doing and will keep everyone safe, and Jack's experience and ability did just that. So the insert car driver tows the cast and the crew and all the equipment and rigging around, making it like a small studio on wheels. Jack Carpenter, our insert car driver, had to drive all this at varying speeds depending on the scene. We called it the pirate ship because it was full of people and flags, and it looked like one, especially at night, out on the foggy roads of rural Florida. As a director, you have to keep looking for new and interesting ways to show something happening. And in one of our biggest night scenes between Trish and Darry and the trooper car that is escorting them, rather than just cut back and forth from car to car, I thought it would be great to roll back and forth between them uninterrupted. I called it our Sugarland Express shot, because of all the wonderful car work that Vilmos Zsigmond and Spielberg did on that film. But it was more challenging for our cast and crew than I thought it ever would be. Since the shot was free moving between 2 cars, Trish and Darry's car was being towed by a process trailer, while the actors playing the troopers were in a free-flowing car. The troopers had to keep an exact distance between them and Gina and Justin's car, so that when Jack Carpenter drove the camera car back and forth between the 2 vehicles, everyone was lit and framed correctly. Jack had to hit such precise marks when rolling back and forth that I still don't know how he did it. The entire shot took hours to line up and shoot, and it depended on so many people being in the right place at the right time that I was amazed by the second or third take that we had it and it was working.
Actually, you don't see the creeper at first. All you see pretty much is his truck. He is the truck. It's his shell. It's like, he's encased in this metal, monstrous armor that he lives inside, and then, like, at night, he can actually come out. So, this is the first step to this huge, dirty, disgusting, nasty-looking truck. And it has a voice like, some archaic monster. It has horns. If you're looking up at it, those three little lights at the top are horns. It's a lot like a medieval helmet, almost, of some dark knight. It's got like these weird blacked out visor with these horns on the front and this metal grill of a mouth. And it's, it's just this really demonic looking thing.
They originally wanted a van, but they couldn't find a van that looked as menacing as this truck, so they went ahead and built a back to it. I've got plenty of room in the back there to hang all my weapons of destruction and do all my gathering of bodies.
We were still in Los Angeles in production. I was driving around, and I think going into work one day to do more boarding, and this old van drove by me. And it was really old, and the paint on it was all messed up. And it was like rusted, and there was like this strange work rail welded to the side of it, and there's like all decayed and strange. And I saw that and I was like, wow, that's like, that's like the creeper's truck, something this disgusting.
The cab that I absolutely loved for the front of the creeper van was from a Rio truck from the late 1940s. It was from a flatbed truck, so my production designer, Stephen Legler, needed to design a box for the back to turn it into a van. While our transportation department worked on the mechanics of the truck, putting the pieces from several junkyards back together, Stephen had a set and effects shop in Orlando build the box and rear doors, and did what Stephen called the scenic painting, distressing them to look old and rusty and nasty. Stephen built 3 creeper vans, all matching, and 2 of which ran. One had the original engine, and another had a souped-up V8 with an automatic transmission used for the chase and stunt shots.
What the hell is that? Is that the... Yeah. Holy shit, that's creepy.
The last thing he did was to design his front bumper for ramming the car and to look terrifying. Stephen said he modeled it somewhat after the cow catcher on an old steam locomotive, but reversed the shape, making it narrower in the center and wider on the outsides. It looked more like a rammer, and it also gave it more of a face. Stephen designed the van almost a little too good, because on the first day of shooting, when we wanted to tap the Chevy with the creeper van for some side view shots of the truck attack, the big fender Stephen designed was so effective that even at just cruising speed, the van demolished the back end of our picture car. Unfortunately, it was our A car, which means the best of the 3 Chevys got badly bashed, and on day 1, when there were still shots to do with it, undamaged. My director of photography, Don Fauntleroy, really kind of saved the truck attack sequence. As assistant cameraman and camera operator, Don worked on so many big-budget action flicks, like T2, for example, that what he brings to the table is an incredible body of experience and ability. He told me before we shot the truck attack that we had 5 cameras and he wanted to use them all. He strapped the creeper van with 3 cameras and let it take off, chasing Trish and Darry's car with their stunt doubles driving. The result were 3 notable and dramatic angles, all used in the film. The first was a high camera slashed to the top of the creeper truck, and it gave us the eerie and shaky bird of prey angle that sort of rocketed after the kid's car in just the way the script talked about. The shakiness of the angle, which couldn't be avoided because of the precarious nature of the camera and the old truck it was attached to, only seemed to help the angle convey a sense of speed and power. The second camera was slashed low to the ground on the front of the creeper van's cowcatcher. With this low-angle camera attached to the creeper truck and fit with a wide-angle lens, it allowed us to go after the Chevy and get in very close, as if we were smashing into it. The wide-angle lens took full advantage of the beautiful fins and the angles of the back of the Chevy and made the car's swerves and jolts even more dramatic. The third camera Don slashed to the side of the creeper van, just behind the front right wheel. This became my favorite angle for the chase, because the spinning wheel and the road rushing under it created such a velocity that it became sort of mesmerizing, especially as it came up on the fleeing Chevy. Don told me I would need lots of little pieces to really show this attack the way I wanted to show it. There's a certain amount of experience and enthusiasm that a director would be a fool to fly in the face of, and I certainly felt that way with Donnie, who just had a terrific approach for every sequence in Jeepers. But I felt that the truck chase especially, he went in and came out with stuff that surpassed my expectations and storyboards completely. Like Don said, it's amazing what one mounted camera down low with a tire in the foreground can achieve.
Cameras are giving speed, 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 and action cars, action cars.
My memories of the Chevys and the creeper van are only that they rarely worked. More than a few takes were scrubbed because one or two of them just plain puttered out.
Birds!
In 1971, I must have been 12 or 13, Duel was a movie of the week. And I don't think consciously I was going, okay, I'm going to do my little version of Duel here in the first act of my movie. But once I saw the dailies of the big old truck coming up and going back and forth, I just said, oh my God, I'm doing Duel. I'm making Duel. In fact, our creature is a truck for the first third of the film. He has three forms. He has his automotive form, and then he has his kind of scarecrow from the dead, and then he has his Harryhausen beast form, which is, they're all three nods to all the things I loved about fantasy and horror movies when I was a boy, really. I got to do all three monster movies, you know, kind of in one.